to the Week 4 KML preview. This is the big week. This is the week we find out who's for real, who's a pretender, who's on keg watch, who needs to make moves, who doesn't need to make moves. It's a very important week for everybody. We got 3 in the books. Everything you need to know is coming ahead right on the KML Weekly Preview, so keep it locked in. On to the first game. The first game I want to talk about is the Buddy Van Doodles in 9th place at 1 and 2. Going into the Demon's Den of the Reading Dwayne Bowe. 2nd place, 2 and 1. Hot team in the league right now. The line on this one has the Reader favored by about 10 points. All-time record also favors the Reader 3-1, so that neither of these are going in Wingus' favor on this one. First thing I want to talk about is the Buddy Van Doodles. Last week they beat Bill, a K-Watch team, a team that's still trying to get his act together. Although it's a win, it's not a quality win necessarily. That's a win they should have had. Really, the getting the win this week, Wingus actually gets a win before Bill, and that's the first time that Wingus has done anything before Bill. Usually he follows right along whatever Bill does. Wingus is going to do about 5-6 months later, so it's pretty easy. You can set your watch to that. The other thing I want to talk about is it's too bad that Wingus can't buy roster improvements on Amazon like he can computer parts, because if that was the case, he'd have an unbeatable team that would go 13-0, roll through the playoffs, just like the Patriots are probably going to do this year. As for the Reader has a very interesting team. He went up against the Minot Powerhouse. I didn't pick him last week. Last week I didn't do too well in my picks. I went 2 and 4. That puts me at my all-time record. I think I'm 6 and 5 now, a little bit over 500 at my all-time record. But he went up against Minot, and I got to give that team some credit because he cut the head off that beast. He cut the head off of Minot's team, just pushed him right down in the mud. Cut the head off just like the extended family does. ISIS cuts the head off the infidels. So no really surprise there. The Reader, old pussyface over here, he also gets Spencer Ware for 1 more week before Jamal Charles. Due back any moment, but Ware is still playing well, so as long as he can ride that pony, I expect him to continue to do well here. As far as picking this game, I'm going to take the Reader on this one. Wingus last week had to win that game. He got Stafford as a gift on the waiver wire. And his roster still looks shaky. The Reader, I think Rogers just has a hotter team, so we're going to lock in the Reader, taking the win in Week 4, moving to 3 and 1. Next game. The next game I want to talk about is the Chalupa Batman in dead last place at 0 and 3, going up against Traveling 2, the Bubblegum by the Bum, sitting in 5th place at 2 and 1, one of the hottest teams in the KML currently. The line on this one has Moto favored by about 5 points. All-time record has Bill leading 1-0. Not a lot of history in this matchup, but we're going to build on that this week. First team we're going to talk about is the Chalupa Batman, the away team. Last week they got pounded by Wingus' team. Found themselves in the keg watch game. Wasn't enough motivation for them to get it up and get it going. Just rolled over and played dead. Basically let Wingus' team have total control of what they wanted to do there. They moved the ball up and down the field very easily. I was around the complex over there and in the locker room talking to some of the players, talking to the GM, and I can tell you firsthand the morale at the Chalupa Batman complex is at an all-time low. The only way it would be lower, but it couldn't be because they can't afford to put anything below ground level over there. Everything has to stay up on top of the ground. One thing I will say in the Chalupa Batman's favor is if you look into the stats, it has the most points scored against in the league. So don't sleep on this team. It's an 0-3 team, but it's had a couple injuries. People are starting to get a little bit more healthy, and it's had pretty bad luck. Everybody brings their A game against the Chalupa Batman, so they could be primed for a little bit of a run in the coming weeks here. I don't know if it happens this week, but it could be coming sometime soon. As for the Bubblegum by the Bum, speaking of bums, they have a horseshoe up their fucking ass for getting a win on Monday Night Football. They were dead to rights. I think everybody in the stadium knew it. Everybody expected them to win. The Vegas odds were, it's one of the biggest upsets you'll see this year in Vegas for sure. The Bubblegum by the Good Bum, the Moto got so lucky to win that game that I'm expecting any moment to hear that the kids in China that make those striker implants that he sells, instead of taking 50 cents a week, are going to cut their pay down to 25 cents. That's how lucky this motherfucker is. Last point I want to talk about is this team's getting hot, and I don't like it. I don't like Moto having a good team. It scares me a little bit, makes it dangerous for the rest of the teams in the league. We need this baby to be born, because once this baby gets born, I expect this team to skid when he's sleep depraved, doesn't know what's going on, he's acting crazy. I think that's when we'll really see some ground made up. So we can't let him get too far ahead before he starts slipping back to cake watch territory, is really where he belongs. As for picking this game, I'm going to pick the upset for Bill, and I've got 4 main reasons for why I'm going to pick the upset for Bill. I thought about this. The first one is it's bad matchups for Bubblegum by the Bum. I just don't like who his actual players are playing. It looks like it's going to be tough for them to score a bunch of points this week. Second point is I think Palmer was awful last week. I think he gets it right at home against the Rams, so I expect him to have a big day. The third point is Gronk is finally going to get healthy at some point. I think this is the week that he finally gets healthy. And the fourth point is quite simply fuck Moto. So, next game. The next game we're going to talk about is Blaze's Hope Chest, currently sitting in 10th place. At an astounding record of 1-2, going up against This Is My White Mare, sitting in the 4th place with a record of 2-1. The line on this one has Turo favored slightly by about 5 points. Turo leads the all-time series on this one, 3-0, so he looks to continue that unbeaten streak moving in through week 4 for a 4th consecutive year. Blaze's Hope Chest, last week they got their poop pushed in by Jared. There's no other way to put it. They lost by 84 fucking points. That is the largest margin of defeat we've ever seen in the KML, and I don't know if it will ever be topped. That is a big one. 84 points. Think of that's anyway. It all happened because of a revamped roster. He had a little bit of a mini fire sale panic, a little bit heading into week 3. Obviously didn't work out. When you look at his team moving into week 4, he's getting hit hard with buys. Got a starting RB and a starting wide receiver, both down on buys, so I'm not sure he's really going to handle that, but we'll see what happens. But it's really, Scott down in 10th place is really more of the same. I think that's probably where he's going to end the season again for the 3rd year in a row. He's got the worst all-time record, but, finishing near the bottom is really what Scott's used to, because back, he's having flashbacks back to May 2nd, 2007, at Mount Lost Speedway, where he finished 20th out of 21 entrants in some sprint car race. So, I think it's just kind of what he's used to and is where he's most comfortable. As for Turo, he comes in off a loss 2 into this game in week 4. He lost to Joel. He really needs to rebound, but there's no better way to rebound than playing Scott. So it's really the ideal situation you can ask for. He might have been distracted last week, starting more ambiguous or shady small businesses. I don't know what the hell he does. I mean, shit. If you don't believe me, sit down and ask him to explain what he does someday with these small businesses he starts. It's a front for something. I'm not sure what. Child porn, drugs, prostitution. It's one or all 3. We'll figure it out, maybe by week 13. KML investigative reporting. We'll keep on the case on that one. Finally, Turo's wife is back in town in week 4. So he's going to be a little bit distracted. I'm not have a lot of faith in him this week to get things done. He's going to be back. He's going to be busy watching Bravo. He's going to be busy out there pounding the streets campaigning for Hillary. So I'm really not sure he's going to have enough in him to get past Scott this week. When picking the game, the only way I can put it, I normally wouldn't pick a communist to win any of the KML games, but in this case, I think I got to pick Turo. I got to make an exception to my rule. I just like where his team's headed a little bit more than Scott's. Scott, we got to see these new players pan out before I can pick him to win any of these games. So I'm going to pick Turo on this one. Next game. The next game I'm talking about is I lost to Vit, sitting in 8th place at 1-2, going up against She Duped on my Johnson in 1st place, the last undefeated in the KML, sitting at 3-0. The line on this one has Joel favored by about 5 points. The all-time record is tied, so after this week we'll have a new all-time leader. Rob's team lost to Vid, if you couldn't tell by the name. This is becoming a theme in the KML where you take a tough loss and you change your team name, try to rebrand, try to get the identity back, so we'll see if that pans out this week. The only idea that I can have why he lost to Vid is because Kelly must have been too busy at work this week. Probably had to work some late nights, wasn't up on the news, didn't see who to start, who to play, and it just wasn't meant to be. Rob asked me too, with the season coming to a close, they're trying to generate a little bit more business over at Ellenberger Park there that he runs. So, if you know anybody, this is a quick PSA, if you know anybody out there that gets to host a black family reunion, or needs to do some senior water aerobics, or needs to drown a child, get in touch with Rob. I'll pop his email address up onto the league, so if you need that, get in touch with him. He'll be able to take care of any of those 3 things that you're looking to get done. As for Joel, what can we say? I mean, he's red hot. He continues to prove the haters wrong, myself included. He's the last undefeated team. I mean, his confidence and his smugness are off the charts. I mean, everybody over there is walking with a little extra pep in their step, got about another quarter-inch to all their cocks. I mean, they can't be beat right now. They are on high. The last time I saw Joel and his team this happy, this confident in what they were doing, was when Chelsea Russ was letting them do butt stuff. And, when I say, they were doing butt stuff, I'm not talking about with her butt, if you catch my drift. And Joel, I haven't seen them that happy since then. As for picking this game, I'm going to take Joel. I got to. How can you not? You got to ride the wave. You got to stay with the hot streak. Quite honestly, I think his team needs a good butt fucking. He needs to be humbled, bring him back down to earth. But I don't think it happens this week. I don't think Rob's the team to do it. So until then, we'll see what happens to Joel's team. Next game. And now, we're going to talk about the Keg Watch game. This game features J-Rod the Bod Limbach sitting in 7th place at 1-2, going up against the Vitaly squad in 11th place at 1-2. The line on this one has Vitaly favored by about 10 points or so. Jared, however, leads the all-time record 2-1, surprisingly. Jared's team this week got his first win of the season by beating the shit out of the Scott's team. Might as well beat the shit out of him like his last name was Hackworth. The Monday Night Football game couldn't have gone better for him. His Atlanta two-headed monster looked borderline unbeatable. I'm sure he watched that game with his pants around his ankles and his mule in his hand. I will say this about J-Rod, though. I'm a little worried about him because he didn't make any trades this week. It was a quiet week for the J-Rod. But wait. Breaking news. He's made a trade. He's back on the horse. This might affect who I choose in this game. We're going to find out a little bit later. Moving on right now, though, we're going to talk about Vitaly's team. He beat Rob easily this week. Got his first win of the season. His team finally showed like he had a little bit of a pulse going. This really could be a good win for Vitaly, though, because he's got a pretty easy schedule starting this week with J-Rod. Could end up to be a little 2 or 3 win streak here, get himself the ship righted and back on track. I was talking to some players around the clubhouse and in the locker room, and it sounds like, Vitaly, his imaginary girlfriend, just like Monte Teo, is going pretty well. The relationship has a lot of good vibes, so he's going to try to continue riding that hot streak and carry those good vibes into this week. Now joining us on the phone is the one and only the general manager and the owner of the Vitaly squad, Vitaly. Vitaly, how are you tonight?
Yes, hi, Maine. I'm doing well. Excellent broadcast. I want to thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem at all.
I enjoyed the show so much in the past few weeks that I was compelled to call in for an interview.
Thank you. No, we appreciate having you. How are you feeling about your team after getting win number 1 last week?
You know what? Good question. With the 0-2 start and the lowest amount of points in the league, going into week 3, I was a bit anxious. An 0-3 start in the 13-game regular season could have been devastating. So it was a must-win for my squad.
Yes, I agree.
Going into the game, I looked at it as if there were 2 factors. One, my team had to play up to their abilities, which they haven't done so in the past few weeks. So they stepped it up and they played as they should. And 2, I had to get a favorable matchup. And as luck would have it, I was fortunately matched up against Robbie Buell's team. And I don't even know what his team's name was previously. I think it was something Dogs or Sharknado 1, 2, or 3. Because all I know is up to that ass-pounding his team got, his name was changed to I Lost to This. Mm-hmm. If you ask me, he should have named that. He should have had that name for his team prior to week 3, because we all know the outcome.
Mm-hmm,
so,
absolutely.
So yes, it feels amazing to have one win under my belt, and I am going to be on track and keeping that winning streak alive. That's you, mate.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, I mean, you find yourself in week 4. This is your second Keg Watch game in 3 weeks. I mean, are you a little bit worried that your team isn't getting enough respect in the league?
J-Rod the Bod and Vitaly's squad is just too good of a matchup for it not to be in Keg Watch. We kind of know the history with the two teams having a 0-2 start and coming off of a win last week. So I think it's a good matchup for the Keg Watch. At this point, I believe any team is one shitty week away from being with Keg Watch, so I don't take it too seriously. I'm just going to let my team do its magic, and we'll see what happens. Next question.
I think that's a good strategy for sure. So you're feeling pretty good about the matchup this week, it sounds like.
Oh, yes. Yes, the Keg Watch of the week. The game against J-Rod, no bod. It took him 16 trades to put his dream team together to face my squad. And when I look at Jared's team, really, all I see is Atlanta's offense. And to be honest, it's not a good time to be fully relying on Atlanta's offense. The next 3 games for Atlanta: Panthers, Denver, Seattle. So I see a potential 3-game losing streak. So the game this weekend, the actual game this weekend, Carolina, Atlanta, 1 p.m. on Sunday, will most likely decide the outcome of the matchup. Also, not to dwell on the game itself, I want to give Jared's team a shout-out for scoring the most points this past week and getting his first win as well. I'm very excited for the matchup. Both teams are super hot right now, so it's going to be a good one. I would probably say that it should be a Keg Watch. However, I would also have this game as the game of the week as well, just because how hot the two teams are.
Whoa!
Hey, you're the host.
Okay.
You're the host.
Well, I appreciate Vitaly for joining us. That was a great segment. Now time for me to pick my pick, who I think is going to win. And you know what? I'm going to go with Vitaly as well. I like the points he made. He made some compelling arguments. I hate the Atlanta two-headed monster. I like Vitaly said, I just think that's not going to work out very well for him long term. It's going to be hot. It's going to be cold, and probably more cold than hot. And the other part of it, it's kind of personal. I mean, I just hate Jared's wardrobe. He looks like he's a frat guy, always dressing to go to a party at 11 p.m. I mean, with all those polo shirts and his spiky hair, I don't know if he's going over to Sigma Chi or trying to go to work. Who knows? So anyway, I'm taking Vitaly in this one, the Keg Watch Game of the Week. Let's get on to the Game of the Week. This next game makes me want to fucking drink. It's your gut dub of week 4, the game of the week. It features the KBG sitting in 6th place at 2-1, going up the Revenge of the Scurv, sitting in 3rd place at 2-1. This is a rematch of last year's championship game. The line on this one is even. The all-time record between these two teams is 2-2. I mean, you don't get matchups much more even than this one. Going into this, talk about KBG's first. It was a sad week for the KBGs. They lost to Moto. Yeah. They lost to Moto, and they tinkered with their lineup. They had Stafford. They had Kansas City. They tried to get cute. They tried to chase a little bit of points, try to squeak out a little more points here and there. Didn't need it, really, because they were still huge favorites. Ended up moving Stafford and Kansas City. It cost themselves a total of 50.7 points. And those two roster moves was the difference between sitting in 1st place this week at 3-0 and sitting in 6th place this week at 1-2 and losing the tiebreaker to Moto, which I can almost guarantee... I can almost guarantee that's going to come into play come playoff time. It scares me shitless. The only bright spot for the KBGs, it's a sad one, but the only bright spot is the fact that they get to go camping with Joel this week. And it's my plan. Don't tell Joel, but it's my plan. I'm going to try to get everybody sauced up pretty good, myself included. try to be a little spoon with Joel, and hope some of that fantasy football excellence, that genius that comes out of Joel, rubs off on me like a bad case of chlamydia. And on the opposite side, enough about that. And on the opposite side, we got the revenge of the scurf. Lost to Rodgers by 70 points. Would have been the largest margin of victory or defeat last week if it wasn't for Scott's shit show. Boy, but the team performed last week a lot like mine. It had been really hot for the last 3 weeks, looked great. Last 2 weeks, coming into week 3, it looked like another, strong matchup for them. Just totally shit the bed. It really performed just like Minot does on breakaways. Doing all the hard work and getting where they need to be, and just not putting points on the board, not scoring. Really, Minot's team needs to get back on track. He's got big plans for finishing the money this year. I was talking to the ownership. They want to build a new stadium for the team, but they also want to adopt more very large dogs. And also with the Waynes, they were planning on getting more than 5 channels down there and maybe a stronger wireless signal so they could have more than one laptop connected at a time. But we'll see. So they've already got that money spent, so they're going to have to turn this around quick if they want to go and get to those goals. When it comes time to pick the game, I looked at this long and hard. I thought about it. I'm going to pick Minot's team in the game of the week for week 4. I'm going to take Minot's team in week 4 in a matchup of last year. I just think that, with Bell coming back and being full strength, that scares the shit out of the KBGs. On the opposite side, Maine got some Grigson stink off of Moto. Just by playing him, he got the Grigson stink on him. His team's on tilt. The locker room's divided. He's actually going to probably start Trevor Siemian this week. I can't believe I just said those words, but that might actually be happening. Just all signs in this one just point to Minot getting another W. So I like his chances a little bit better in this one, the gut dub game of the week. With all that said, I think we previewed all the games. I think you know where everybody stands. I want to wish each and every team out there the best of luck, because without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the comments. I hope everybody has a great week out there, has fun, everybody stays nice and healthy, have some beers, have some good times. All the while, Joel and I will be out in the wilderness doing some man bonding and drinking some beer, and I'll be picking his brain about the next, because I need to know who the next Adrian Peterson is. I need to know who the next Stephon Diggs is, and I'll tell you what, there's one man in the whole league that knows who that is. That man is Joel, okay? I think we got to end it there. All right. Good luck this week, everybody. Let's see what happens.